Hey everybody, it's Jessica Weiner and you're listening to Real Girls, Real Advice with Jess, the podcast. And our theme for today is about being true to you. How hard is that? Sometimes it can be really hard, and we have two super great questions, one dealing with friendship and one dealing with boyfriends. And I think in the end you'll see being true to you is the only way to go. Let's get started. So our first question comes from Holly, all the way from Australia. And Holly writes, Dear Jess, last week my best friend told me my boyfriend was cheating on me with another girl. I asked him about it in the next day, and he said he wasn't. So I don't know who to believe. Do you have any tips on how to tell who, my friend or my boyfriend, is lying? Wow, Holly, you are in one big dilemma, and you're only 12 years old, which kind of blows my mind. Here's what I think. First of all, Holly, take a minute, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and listen to your gut. Do you trust your boyfriend? Have you ever felt feelings of jealousy in this relationship? Do you believe what he says? Is there a reason for your friend to have told you something like that? Is she been a friend of yours for a long time? Is she somebody trustworthy and one that you can believe? I think first you have to figure out the answers to some of those questions. And then I say, if you haven't already gone back to your friend, I would ask her, why did you tell me this? And I would also find out some of those details around what she says he was doing. The bottom line is, though, Holly, if he says that he wasn't cheating on you, you're going to have to decide whether or not you want to believe him and keep going forward. And even if at one point you discover that he was indeed cheating on you, it won't be that you've made a mistake, Holly. Instead, you're going to be able to learn the difference between listening to your gut and listening to what somebody else says about you. And that's something all of us as girls out there can afford to get better at. We really can listen to our gut. In the end, you got to be true to you. Follow your heart, ask the questions, and if you get an answer that you believe in, let it go. Today's podcast session is really about being true to you. And for those of you who are on the site a lot, on this advice column, you know that one of the big things that I stress is that you really have to listen to your gut and you really have to be true to who you are. That's one of the hardest things to do out there in the world because there's a lot of people telling you who to be and how to be. And sometimes you can't let yourself get influenced by that. We have a great question next from Alice, also 12 years old in Ireland, who says, Dear Jess, everyone I know is just like, oh my God, I hate myself. They say it all the time, and I'm so sick of it. I went through a very bad self-esteem patch, which lasted for a few months, and now I really hate to hear them go on and on about how much they hate themselves. So, Jess, how can I get them to stop? Well, Alice, unfortunately, we don't control what other people think and what other people feel. So you're never going to be able to control what somebody says. However, I do have a little bit of advice for you. I think you need to remember what it felt like when you were going through your quote-unquote very bad self-esteem patch. You know that sometimes when you fall into that funky space where you just keep saying the same negative things over and over again, and for some reason you just can't get out of that pattern? But then one day you do. Somebody says something to you that makes a difference. Maybe you see something, a puppy or a grandma or an old friend, and all of a sudden you break out of that pattern. Things do change, and sometimes people will stop saying all of these negative feelings. But remember what it felt like when you were saying it, and try on a little bit of compassion for the friends around you. I think you can tell them, you know what, you guys? I used to say that too about myself, and it ended up making me feel worse. I would really love if you stopped saying that around me. I think you have to work on how this is going to impact you, and introduce a new subject matter when they bring that up. You can say, hey, you know what? I don't want to talk about how bad you feel about yourself. Let's talk about something else, and try to see if you can change the subject a little bit. But in the end, Alice, sometimes girls bond over this behavior. So if you're finding that all the people you're hanging around with are only happy when they're talking about how much they hate themselves, then I suggest it might be time to go look for some new friends, ones with a little bit more positive attitude. You've been listening to the Real Girls, Real Advice with Jess podcast. I want to thank Holly and Alice so much for sending in such great questions. I hope you guys got something from it. And the big lesson is you got to be true to you. If you don't, then nobody else will. I hope you keep writing in. Looking forward to talking to you next time. Take care.